All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, I've got some great news as one of my favorite fighters is coming back into the ring. Just released footage of him working out with his trainer, Jermall Iron Man Charlo. Also takes to the internet to call out who he wants in his next fight. And I'm telling you, over his next couple fights, that if things play out right, we can have a really, really good time in boxing, because he specifically mentions Terence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon. In this video, we're going to be in the 154-pound division, where Jermell Iron Man Charlo, the former undisputed champion of that weight division, has been letting it be known throughout the boxing world that he is coming back off of his very long hiatus, something that he has in common with a lot of PBC fighters who take off long periods of time in between fights. One of the criticisms for the PBC that I have to say I have agreed with over the years is that there is a high amount of fighter inactivity, but hopefully that will be coming to an end soon with as far as Jermall Charlo is concerned, because he's being very, very specific about who it is that he wants to match up next with. And the two people that he talked about in the video that he just dropped were Terence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. Both of these fights are good fights. Both of these fights are going to get pishawed and disrespected by the clown boxing media that is out there trying to make everything negative. It's like, it reminds me of the fight that took place between Gervonta Davis and Lamont Roach in the lead into the first fight that they had. Well, they've only had one fight to date, so the lead into that fight, there were so many negative people that were just saying things like, I would rather him not fight anybody at all than fight Lamont Roach. I would rather have Gervonta Davis sit out for 2 years than have him see him in a fight that I don't want. Absolute ridiculousness that is definitely delayed and created a big pause in the momentum of American boxing. That said, I love either one of these fights for Jermall Charlo. Jermall Charlo against Terence Crawford is an excellent fight. Jermell has only lost against one person. I only think he really has lost against one person, and that is Canelo Alvarez. Terence Crawford beat the guy that Jermall Charlo lost to, but that does not mean that Terence Crawford is going to beat Jermall Charlo, especially if they meet at 160 pounds, somewhere in between 154 and 168. That will be an exciting fight. Jermall Charlo is an aggressive fighter, but he's also a very smart fighter that can box and he can bang. Would be an entertaining night of fights. And by the way, it would also work because they're roughly the same size. It works for Terence Crawford as well. I don't think that it is realistic to be asking Terence Crawford to fight guys that are really 175 pounders, dang near cruiserweight, squeezing down to 168, like guys like Hamza Shiraz is doing. Or David Benavidez, who's legitimately right now probably a 175 pounder. That, I think this fight works out very well for Terence Crawford. And I think that it is probably going to be a more competitive fight than people think. If Terence Crawford is more active and the more people get to see Terence Crawford, the more they're going to be able to adjust to him and see what he's going to do at those weight classes. And I think Jermall Charlo, it would do I think he would do better against Terence Crawford than a lot of people think he will. Definitely a fight that's going to go the distance and one that should be entertaining. Now, if people want to stand in the middle of that fight and say, no, we don't want to see Terence Crawford fight Jermell, that's terrible, even though you really don't have anybody else for him to fight, then Jermall Charlo fighting Errol Spence Jr., I think that is a terrific fight for Dallas, not for the same reason, or for Texas rather, not for the same reasons that the fight between Jermell and Terence would be good, but this is a matchup, a grudge match between two guys that used to work, that used to be trained by the same trainer. I do believe both of them have left Derrick James at this point in time, and that was the main reason that the two of those guys weren't fighting each other when Errol was a 3-belt holding champion at 147, and Jermall Charlo was the undisputed champion at 154 pounds. The reason that those guys didn't match up at that particular time was because they were both being trained by Derrick James. That is no longer the case, I don't think, for either one of them. I can't recall the name of the trainer for Jermall Charlo, but Jermall Charlo is a guy that is a Dominican fighter that was in the corner for Jermell for the last couple fights. Man, very famous Dominican fighter. Please forgive me for not remembering his name. And then, of course, you have Errol, that we don't even know who Errol is training with or who his new trainer is going to be. There's been rumors that it could be guys like Breadman Edwards, that it could be the guy from Mustafa Boxing, a bunch of different conversations about who it could be. Still waiting to find out exactly who Errol Spence Jr. would be training with. But we know it's not going to be Derrick James because of the lawsuit that took place. So those two guys matching up would be huge for Texas, man. Huge. They both share the same fan base. A lot of people would come out, and I think it would be a terrific, terrific match. The only thing that only caveat I have on that is just to make sure that Errol Spence Jr. is all the way back right, all the way, recovered from his car crash injuries, from the injuries that he had to have sustained against Terence Crawford in the fight that they had. But, at the end of the day, I would love the fight, and I would love the fight between any combination of these three fighters. Hopefully, and I know this is not likely to happen. Hopefully, Errol Spence can come all the way back, look as good as he had ever looked before, and get some good fights in, man, before this guy's career is over. I did some videos, because Danny Garcia had a fight this weekend where he won, and it was promoted as the last, pretty much the last go around or the last dance or the farewell tour. I can't remember what they called it for Danny Garcia in his fight at the Barclay farewell to Brooklyn, I think is what they called it. I would love to see Jermall Charlo get his last 3-4 fights and have a terrific farewell for him. Errol Spence Jr. get his last 2, 3, 4 fights, get a great farewell for him, and wrap up that chapter of PBC history and American boxing history in a way that it deserves to be wrapped up, man. Because I think these guys put out a lot of really good work over the last 10 years or so. Really, really enjoyed their careers and don't want to necessarily see these guys go out getting fed, fighting too long or getting fed to younger fighters like Jaron Ennis, or, losing to guys like Devin Haney or Brian Norman Jr. later in their career. I think they deserve better than that. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. Please let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Deuces.